So, Connor, did you see that Final Fantasy 14 coming to PS5 April 14th or April something?
I did.
Yeah?
And
Is this going to be our jump in, and we're going to jump in on that?
I've already tried to jump into it before.
Oh, yeah?
Actually, yeah. I played a little bit. You got to pay. It's kind of stupid because you got to buy the game and then you have to pay a monthly fee.
Yeah, that's how that old school MMO thing used to go.
Usually, if you get a monthly subscription, you don't have to buy games or expansion packs. That's the point of the subscription. They update it through those payments, which kind of annoyed me. Which is why one of the reasons why I haven't kept playing it.
It's how World of Warcraft still works.
Yeah, but I don't play World of Warcraft, and that is not Final Fantasy, so there's no reason for me to go to that either.
It's not Final Fantasy.
Yeah. And I got it on my PC, but for some reason it won't download, and I paid money for it, and it was too late to get a refund, so I'm kind of salty about that. I haven't tried fixing it, but outside of that, more importantly, you getting ready to watch the football game going on right now.
It is Super Bowl Sunday, isn't it, buddy?
Super Bowl Sunday, yeah. Who are you rooting for, Tavin? Who do you like? Who do you like
playing?
the most? Yeah. Oh, come on, Tavin. You know who's playing.
No idea.
The Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know if they're called City. And the Buccaneers.
Kansas City Chiefs.
Buccaneers.
Okay. And then
the Buccaneers.
Fuck. Who is
the Buccaneers.
What the fuck do the Buccaneers play? What city is that? Fuck, I used to know. All those years at Buffalo Wild Wings, learning all those things. I used to casually just kind of peep in and keep track of how teams were doing when I worked at Buffalo. You could have told me football didn't happen this year and I would have believed you.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known either, actually. I mean, NBA didn't happen for a long time. They put themselves off, and now I guess
NBA happened.
Yeah. Didn't they postpone games for the longest time?
Yeah, for a little while, and then they did their bubble thing, and they put all the players in a bubble, and then
yeah.
I only know that because of me paying attention to hip hop culture and basketball being so closely tied to hip hop.
Yes, it is. So tune in for the Super Bowl vote because that is the show to watch. But not the best show.
I'm just not. No, because the best show, Connor, is this one right here that we're doing right now. Because this is the 2 Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host, Connor Elliott. Say hi to the people, Connor.
The chances of the people who would watch this podcast watching the Super Bowl is very low. Hi, guys.
It's not that low. Our viewer base is very small, and we know exactly who it is. So, anyways... ladies and gentlemen, this show is a show that comes at you weekly, 8 a.m. every Monday. SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube. I've had to re-enlist for the Apple Musics and for the Google Podcasts. So,
Apple Music and Google lame, though.
Yeah, no, we'd very much like to be there, guys.
That would be
very
nice.
much. Please let us on. So those will be coming here in the coming weeks. But for now, those main 3, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, that's where we're at. The whole gist of this show, ladies and gentlemen, is every week, me and Connor here bring you the new news in the gaming industry. We bring you 2 topics each, our 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. This week, Connor, there's quite a bit of news. Quite a bit of news this week, Connor. And some of it quite important, PlayStation 5 doing real well.
We still don't have one.
We have none. We have 0. I got real close this week.
Oh, I got
real close.
You keep checking.
Oh, absolutely.
I haven't checked it.
I follow Twitter accounts that give me on-the-fly notifications of when they're going up on what websites. This week, Connor, I went to Walmart, the website Walmart, and I actually got one in my cart.
Oh.
Yeah. And then, as soon as I hit confirm, no, canceled, out of stock.
It seems like when you put it in your cart, that's like this one's being sold off.
You would think.
Yeah.
No, I'm still fighting those things. So, and PlayStation, also, big expectations for this here PS5. Mm-hmm. They got big expectations. Some other stuff happening. I saw Nintendo was doing some Switch sale things. Something's happening with the Switch selling the Switch. They're selling Switches, Connor. I don't know if you know this.
They are doing that.
We got labeled Switch outsold the DS, which makes it the highest selling quote unquote handheld console of all time.
I guess technically it is.
Technically it is.
Fills both categories, yeah.
Yeah. So, but, that's cool. That's neat. But Connor, I don't give a fuck about that.
No.
You know what I do give a fuck about,
What do you
Connor?
care about?
Oh, I give so many fucks to Mass Effect, Connor. And
this was the week for Mass Effect
fans.
This
was my week, baby! We got a huge news dump from Mass Effect. Lots and lots of details, some previews were given out to the usual gaming industry news cycle joints. Game Informer got a huge exclusive blowout as they usually do for their monthly issue or whatever. Mm-hmm. I got these really cool covers. I really want the covers and just like I want the covers to just put them up on my walls and shit. They got cool covers.
You go to Staples and print them out and put them on the wall.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a lot of news to get through when it comes to the Mass Effect, and I'm sure I'm going to talk many an ear off, so please stick with me. I'm going to pull Game Informer's article, What to Expect with the Mass Effect Legendary Edition by Liana Rupert. Yeah. Connor, how much were you paying attention to this week to all this news?
To be quite honest, not enough as I should have been. Like so I've been preparing myself because I knew you were going to talk about it on the podcast. I was like, well, might as well just wait.
Well, at first I didn't know. I was like, is it worth talking about? It's just a remaster for one game. Does it really matter that much? I'm like, okay, should I put my fanboy to the side and just talk about something boring like PlayStation sales? But then, for like 4 or 5 days straight, major headlines about Mass Effect.
Yeah, people wouldn't
stop
talking
about it. And they just kept coming. And the news just kept coming. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Mm-hmm. I'm doing it. I don't give a fuck. This is my show, and I will chew my penny how I want. So this is my first penny right here. I'm going to skip ahead into the article a little bit just to get to the real juicy deets. Wow. And this is when they're talking about the actual changes, and we're starting with graphics. Wow, the trilogy as a whole didn't see anywhere near remake-level graphic designs. It's hard to deny the impressive alterations made in the first game to make it more cohesive with the following two. While Mass Effect 2 also saw some much appreciated beauty jumps, the biggest remaster love can be felt in the first game. The game itself will come with a new launcher so that the entire collection, including all DLC, can be enjoyed. All remastered for 4K UHD. Enhanced models, shaders, and FX can also be seen, especially regarding overpainting for key areas like Ilos, Eden Prime, and Horizon. Also, no more creepy wooden teeth for our human squad mates, especially... Okay, this is a diatribe from the writer of the article. So we're moving on. We're talking about some more specific... One of the improvements with the remaster is the introduction of a backdrop teeming with signs of a struggle and more FX added to the... Oh, we're still talking about the thing. I should have edited this more down. Cinematics have also seen a boost, both in terms of lighting and overall feel. Pretty much everything has gotten a lighting overhaul, which makes some of the more beautiful landscapes even more so, and the scarier moments not so reliant on the red overlay. Players will also be able to choose between favor quality and favor frame rate to determine their play experience, which dives into performance territory by focusing on a higher FPS versus resolution. Other improvements include improved depth of field, dynamic shadow improvements, unified motion blur solution, lens flare upgrades. So, a lot of this is really important. It's very clear that the first game is getting the most amount of love because the first game, quite janky, looks the oldest, partially because it is the oldest and partially because BioWare didn't have EA funding when they made the first game.
Did they get EA funding after the first Mass Effect
EA
game?
EA acquired BioWare post Mass Effect 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is why we get Dragon Age 2 and Mass Effect 2 in the states that those games are in. So, Mass Effect 1 scenic improvements. In addition to the above-mentioned FX and full-scale relighting, the combat, HUD, and gameplay mechanics of the first game have been improved. With the HUD being fashioned after Mass Effect 2, Mako improvements have also been added, which you can also learn about these how those iconic elevator load times have changed. Don't worry, the banter is still there.
I was curious about how they were going to do that, like because they do have some interesting dialogue and radio happenings in the elevator.
From what I've heard, it's the perfect solution.
Good.
So,
okay.
It is exactly what you want. But if you don't care, you can get right through it. So we'll talk about that here in just a more sec. Other Mass Effect 1 specific improvements include improved cover for combat, thank God. Improved input and controls, thank God. AI improvements, thank God. Weapons overall rebalanced and removal of class restriction. I might personally have an issue with that. I'll have to see when we get there. Mm-hmm. Improved camera angles, better sound design in and out of combat, thank God. A complete world building pass across all worlds, including lighting, visual effects, and audio. Neat. Performance. Basic performance boosts can be seen with 60 FPS on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. It's worth mentioning because the article doesn't mention here. 60 FPS only on the upgraded versions of the consoles. Your base model versions are 30 FPS. So the PlayStation 4 Pro and the Xbox One X upgraded for 60. Your launch versions of those consoles, 30. With uncapped FPS on PC and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. The team also added full resolution audio, rebalanced the entire game's audio mix, added DX11 on PC, and harmonized all of the mission computers. That's not even counting the hundreds of bug fixes that the trilogy left unpolished. Thank God. PC players can also look forward to controller support for the first time, which is a nice bonus. In the past, if you wanted to play on PC, you had to go to a third-party thing, download a patch, it's a mess. Character customization. Go ahead.
I was just going to bring up, did you want to stop to talk about that class issue you had?
Sure. We'll go ahead with all the technical and gameplay things that have happened here. We'll go ahead and recount all this. So, everything looks very... I don't know if you've paid attention to any of these screenshots or any of the clips that they've shown.
All I've known is screenshots, and that's it. So I've noticed a lot of...
It all looks great.
Yes.
Lots of lens flares. Granted, there was a lot of lens flares in the original trilogy at launch, but now, sometimes I think it works. Sometimes I'm like, why did you put that there?
I know they're showing, they did a lot of lens flare shots in the screenshots that they did, just to, show that that's what's going to be in the game. I hope it's not too much, because I'm not the biggest fan of lens flare effects. I don't think
it'll be as invasive as we think it will.
I hope not.
I think it's like a sci-fi thing.
My only issue with that is that a lot of the screenshots I've seen have included that lens flare, so it's like, are you doing that because you're trying to show it off, or is that actually going to be as common as you're making it out to be?
Yeah.
We'll have to see what the final product is.
It's also worth noting from the screenshots and the limited clips that they've shown, everything looks so much better.
Everything, besides that, graphics-wise and lighting-wise, everything looks like a major improvement.
So, they talked about how they started with 3 and worked backwards. So 3 got the least amount of attention.
Which it needed the least amount of attention, obviously.
Outside of bugs and so forth.
Yeah.
But in terms of just graphical quality and detail, that is their baseline. They said, okay, let's try and match this as much as possible. I imagine 2 was much easier to do that than 1, because 2 and 3 were on the same engine, and they were built pretty much the same way from the jump, whereas 1, entirely different.
Yeah.
So I've seen, there's different screenshots. They haven't shown too many screenshots of 3, a couple. They've shown character shots in-game, in-engine, from 2 specifically. Like I've seen Thane. Thane looks great.
Yeah, he looks
Morden
very good.
looks great. I'm trying to remember if I've seen anybody else. I can't right now. So, it all looks great. They've just added detail and texture to things that were either smooth or were kind of blurry in the past. Overall, there was a bit of like a haze, bit of like a fog almost in all 3 games. And that, most notably in 2, I think that fog exists. And that has just been pulled out completely, because it was probably for some GPU loading so that the game actually functions reason as to why that was added. All of that has been ripped out, which is fantastic. And it just makes everything look so much clearer, and it allows us to really take in all those details. It looks awesome.
Yeah. One thing I really liked was the, specifically for Mass Effect 1, was the, improved cover for combat. Because I remember in Mass Effect 1, you played it most recently, so confirm or deny this, I would get into cover a lot of the time, and then have some weird shot when I'm low on health hit me when I was in cover, and I'd just die. It didn't happen all the time, but it would happen every now and then to make it annoying when I was playing.
Maybe it depends. That you might be dealing with the jankiness of the cover system, which was it wasn't like how it was done in 2 and 3, where it was just a bunch of chest high walls. So you would go up, press a button, and you would go into cover. It was all you could go into cover onto any piece of wall in front of you. So some of those some of that terrain wasn't necessarily built with the idea of it being cover, and was more built as set dressing. So there would be some rocks you would run up to and get into cover, and your head would be poking out the top.
Yeah.
So you would get shot in the head and die. It would be stuff like that. It wasn't like a button prompt. You would just run up to it, and you would stick to it, which some players had a lot of difficulty with, as in they would be stuck on it too long, they would be stuck on it not enough. The animation for popping your head out and shooting, took too long. So as you were popping out to, aim and fire, you would get shot and killed, and, a lot of players were like, it's just best to just hide it behind a corner and trick the AI, in some firefights. So it sounds like all of that is more or less being improved or fixed entirely, which is great. Mass Effect 1 getting a complete overhaul, then that's Mass Effect 1 is the only one they've shown like actual gameplay clips of just like Shepard moving around an environment or like a camera pan or something, and it all looks so fucking good.
Smooth as butter.
Oh, it looks so good. Everything is pretty. Everything is like the lighting, like the sun, like actually emits rays of light. Like you can see beams of light coming through the trees and stuff and reflecting off of
Ray
water.
tracing, I think, is the word.
No ray tracing. There's no ray tracing.
Oh.
Ray tracing is like actual reflections.
Okay.
There's no ray tracing in this. Because they're still in that old Unreal Engine 3, whereas everything else has moved into 4 or Frostbite.
Yeah.
So yeah, Unreal Engine 3 is not capable of ray tracing. Oh, dude, it's so fucking nice to see. And I'm so fucking excited. I love the new UI look. It's simplified from the one in the original Mass Effect 1.
Which could be cluttered.
It is, clutter's wrong, but it wasn't accurate enough to give you the proper information you needed. So now they've pretty much fixed that entirely, and it's mostly unified with how Mass Effect 2 and 3's UI looks. Obviously, it's just slightly tweaked. And also, I'm just glad that we don't have to build, that language you build with the UI to be like, okay, this symbol means that, so when that pops up, that, like, just kind of how, like, basics of, like, when you're first getting your feet wet in the first hours of every video game, you're like, okay, this is what that means when they show me that symbol. I'm hoping all of that is unified, so we only have to do it with the one game, and then it's like, okay, this is just how Mass Effect UI plays when in game. So I'm very excited for that, for new players especially. Let's see, improved cover for combat, awesome. Improved input and controls, awesome. AI improvements, the AI in Mass Effect has always been stupid. It is especially stupid in 1.
I'm happy for just overall improvements. Now, it said this is ME1 specific. I'm assuming they've got to be advancing improving the AI for the other games as well, right?
Oh, it's probably just a matter of just the bigger overhauls are in the first game.
Yeah.
Which I think the first game, I don't want to say holds up, but like it's still playable and still enjoyable, and you can still like really love it. But it's not. There are just things that modern gaming has evolved and changed to, and you even see the franchise swerve to correct from 1 to 2. That can be super, super frustrating for new players. So I'm glad that we're seeing those smaller upgrades, those quality of life improvements, which are small and don't mean a whole lot. Like, we're not getting a new game, we're getting the same game, but just those small little improvements make the difference between what was a great game at the time and has with age has with age suffered heavily, to making it a really good game all around. So I'm really excited about that. It's also worth noting they've added some stickier aim assist to the first game to make it less floaty, and they've dialed back on aim penalties, because the aiming in that game is not good. You're basically like just kind of hovering over your target and hoping for the best. Like, it doesn't matter where you aim. Like, you're like, all right, I think the shot's gonna hit his head. Let's find out.
Nope. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's coming with the weapon rebalancing, and this is where they also mentioned removing the class restrictions. Now, I've gone deeper into what this means. In the original game, you would pick your class, and the same works for 2. 3, they remove it. So in the original game, you pick your class, and that class can only specialize in a few weapons. For example, the soldier and the adept, which are they're basically your knight and mage class. So the soldier can use all weapons but doesn't have any magical abilities. The adept has all the magical abilities, can only use the pistol. So if you were an adept playing and you ever tried to switch to your assault rifle, your sniper rifle or your shotgun, your aim, like, would just be ridiculous. Like, you couldn't hit fucking anything. You couldn't aim down sights. You couldn't do anything. You shouldn't be using that weapon. I think there was also, you were, punished in the like, you wouldn't put out as much damage. because you didn't have quote unquote training for that weapon. Whereas the soldier, everything is nice, tight, precise. You can, there were, sections of your upgrade trees in which you could dump points into specific weapons to get better with them. And you do more damage, or you would be more accurate, or cool, because the first game works off of a overheat system instead of a reload, magazine system. It'd be like, oh, your assault rifle takes longer to overheat and cools down faster. It'd be like stuff like that. So with that removed, they've gone in deep and said, hey, you can use every weapon. Aim penalties are pretty much gone. However, you can't specialize in any of those weapons. So being able to upgrade those weapons, you can still, if you're a soldier, the upgrade trees are still there for your assault rifle, your shotgun, your sniper rifle. Whereas, like, if you're an adept, you don't have access to those trees. But you can still use your sniper rifle, you can still use your assault rifle, you can still use your shotgun, and not feel punished for it. You're just not going to get any better than the base level with them. So, cool. I like that. And I assume in Mass Effect 2 we're doing the same thing, where you're allowed universal weapons. I assume. Maybe not.
But didn't the weapon system work differently in Mass Effect 2? Weren't there a lot more different guns and there were attachments you could do?
No, you're thinking of 3. 2, you had, I think there was like 2 guns per weapon type. Same amount of weapon types as there are on 3. So you have your shotgun, sniper rifle, SMG, pistol, assault rifle. And I think Soldier had access to all of them except for the SMG, because why would you if you have the assault rifle?
Yeah.
And there was only like 2, maybe 3 per class. And you couldn't really fuck with them. It was like, oh, okay, the secondary weapon is just, like a different variant. So it's either a full automatic assault rifle or a 3-shot burst rifle, which is more accurate and deadly, and you should be using that unless you're an idiot.
It's not as fun.
Or like the sniper one would be like, okay, you have your classic like, bolt action single shot style, or you would get the fully automatic one that you could just pop,
which
but does so little damage. You'd be crazy for using that.
By the way, I just have to defend it. The assault rifle, like the full auto one, so much more fun to use than the 3-burst one, which is why you should use that one.
You're living off of nostalgia.
Which is why you should. You're
living off of 14-year-old
3
Connor
shots
nostalgia.
Are lame.
Connor, you're living off of your nostalgia, dude. The Viper assault rifle kicks out. It's not called the Viper. That's the sniper. What is it called? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. But...
Anyways, so I'm interested to see if the class restrictions on weapons are still in 2, or if they're allowed in there. And if so, what does that mean? Does that mean like I can only have 1 variant, or do I get every variant? In which case, what makes the soldier special anymore? And why would I use that? Because in 3. If you pick the soldier class, you're a weirdo, in my opinion, because it's like,
I agree.
Like, you can use both. It all works the same. Like,
yeah.
What, you're just going to use your limited number of grenades? No, I'm going to do biotic explosions and blow these motherfuckers out the water.
Yeah, at that point, it was not much reason to do that. But it seems like it's kind of even giving you less incentive to choose soldier for the other games as well, due to the fact that even though you can't, increase the level of the gun.
There were reasons in the first game to pick soldier. There were like statistic things like when I say you get better with the gun, like you get better with the gun.
Okay.
And also like in the first game, soldier class is the only class that can use heavy armor.
Yes.
Yeah, so you just become a walking tank or a walking Krogan, if you will.
Yeah.
And you're just tearing shit up. So there's still a reason to pick soldier in 1. If there's no class restrictions, there's less of a reason in 2. In 3, there's almost no reason to pick soldier. But I felt that way from launch. There was no reason to pick soldier. And then the complete world building pass across all worlds, including lighting, visual effects, and audio. Cool. That just sounds like, okay, we're just doing general detail upgrades and we're, making things fit in the world a little better, because it was obviously like someone just did a quick pass over and said, oh, terrain, here's mountain ranges. And and it led to some really awkward things, and it doesn't sound like we're changing any of that actual terrain, but maybe
look nicer.
They're also improving the Mako, which is the infamous vehicle in the first game that many people hate. I don't personally have any issues with it because the Mako fits for the game that it's in. The problem is that it doesn't fit the design that the Mako has. So people see the Mako, they think this big tank. and instead it's basically you should treat it more like a hovercraft, where if you see a mountain, just say, alright, fuck physics, and go straight up the mountain.
Yeah.
Like, don't go around it, because that's how you get tripped up, and like, it's super floaty, and yeah, you know, and I also read somewhere that they're adding a boost to the Mako so that you can get around faster.
That'd be good.
All that's great. They've improved the shooting on it, because there were many times in the Mako where like, you're like, okay, I'm right on that guy, and you shoot and you miss, and you go, alright, well then what the fuck do you want me to do, game? So, all of that sounds like it's being fixed. They've changed, they haven't changed, but they have an alternate camera mode for the Mako.
Ah, okay.
In which, before it was, the Mako was always in the center of the screen, whereas now it's more of like a revolving camera that you see in every other type of game. So, I'm excited to see how I like that and how it works against the original. I believe you can still use the original camera if you want. But take that with a grain of salt. So, and then we talked about performance. Everything sounds great there. Character customization. Look,
it's gonna look nicer.
Listen, I'll just give you the rundown. They've unified the character customizer across all three games. In the original games, the character creator got better as you went on, and you were given more styles and hairs and stuff as you went on. But now they've even added some extra things. So there's more skin tones you can select. There's new hairstyles you can select, so that for example, there wasn't a lot of really good like people of color hairstyle, or there weren't too many in the original games. There was like one. And then it was just a bunch of like white people hair. So obviously that doesn't, you know, fit for all types of people. You know, a lot of different people have different types of hair. So being able to, you know, expand on that sounds great. Love it.
Yeah. I mean, more character customization is always just a good way to go, especially with a game that I do remember having, like, there's a reason why I chose male default Shepherd in the original game, because he just looked the best. Everyone else looked terrible. And going forward, I just never could change it because I got used to that face.
Yep.
So, that was a big thing they needed to change.
They've also, the female version of Shepherd never had a canon face until 3. And they've unified that. So the default female Shepherd is now the iconic version that we all know in all 3 games. So that's the starter one. They have left in the original default female Sheps as like presets that you can still select. So that's cool for people who want to do that. But it's also nice that, you know, we get that iconic version of female Shepherd in the first game now, and even the second game. So now additional content, and then there's a bit of a spoilers in here. Unfortunately, no cut content was included in the remaster, but the bright side is that a ton of other content is now available. So cut content specifically refers to romance options. In the first 2 games, there are pretty much no gay romance options unless you count Liara, which for lore reasons I don't. But, you know, like, in the first game, you were originally supposed to be able to have gay relationships with both Caden and Ashley. Those got cut, and they're only heterosexual, and then they're remaining that way. In the second game, they were supposed to be a gay relation. You could have a gay relationship with Miranda and Jack. Those are cut. You could have a gay relationship with Thane. That was cut, and those will remain so. Unfortunate. Wish they could go back and put those back in. There were mods created to reinstate the Miranda and probably even the Jack romances in 2, and then fan remakes or fan mods have gone through and built upon that and allowed them to be in 3. Mm-hmm. So it's unfortunate that we don't get those, but they've also said that they're making it super easy to mod this new version of the game. So those modders, obviously with some work, will be able to put all that in for the PC versions of these games.
That is very nice. So I'm guessing there's no mod support for the console versions of these games.
Of course not. Mm-hmm. No.
Skyrim's the only one that I remember doing it. That Fallout, even
quote unquote, doing it. When the trilogy first came out, each game had its own set of DLC. With 2 and 3, the DLC was downright imperative, making it odd that the team decided to make it DLC and not in the game at no charge. Wow, some of it was a fun expansion worth paying the extra dollars. Looking at you, Citadel DLC.
Never played any of those DLC either.
Oh my god,
Connor, not be able to play them. Yeah, because like by that time I played the game like 3 times. Like DLC Citadel, I was like, I'm done.
Oh my god, dude! Oh, I love them so much.
The
They're
2
so good.
I want are the Bavarians.
Leviathan.
No, I did that. Oh, I did that one. In Mass Effect 3, right?
Three has Leviathan, Omega, and Citadel. Those are the big three.
No, I didn't do Citadel, and I was in Mass Effect 2, the Bavarian one.
What are you saying?
What's the race of people? The ones that, like, the Doomsday counter is going down or something like that?
Batarian.
Batarian.
Yeah, that is the...
There's Mass Effect 2.
It's not Bring Down the Sky. What is it called? Arrival. That's the Arrival DLC.
Arrival, yes. I didn't play that one or the Citadel one. Which...
Did you play Lair of the Shadow Broker?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so I played some of the DLC, but not some of the big ones.
As a general thing, they've pretty much included every DLC across the entire franchise. The Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was cut from this. They said basically in order to restore and make the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer work for this collection, they would have to put in just as much, if not more, work into that than they would have in what they were doing with the first Mass Effect game. So they were like, we've only got so much budget, we've only got so much time, we've only got so many people. Let's just focus on the 3 main games, and then maybe in the future we can do it, but probably not. They've been pretty like, it's probably not going to happen.
I'm pretty remiss about that, because you and me liked playing the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, but for those reasons, it's very understandable.
Which, to be fair, the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer is still live, still works.
It is still. We can just hop on that.
Just can hop on that.
No players either are going to be there. So
I think with all this news, people are jumping back in now. If I were to guess,
Tavin might be the time.
Might be the time. I don't really feel like it. I'll be honest. Pretty much all DLC has been included. All the armor packs and skin packs and the story missions and all of that, all the like little smaller side missions and stuff. That's all very exciting. One thing worth mentioning is the Pinnacle Station DLC from the first game is missing because the code was corrupted, and they even reached out to the third-party studio that helped develop that DLC, and their code was corrupted too. So that one is just lost to the ages, and it would take them another 6 months to make that, and they were like, yeah, it's just not worth it. Mm-hmm. So they're like, sorry guys, it's gone. Mm-hmm. But we do have we have the Bring Down the Sky, the Genesis DLC was the little animated comic you could do if you wanted to skip Mass Effect 1, and you could just make the choices you wanted to, it was like, okay, what choices do you want to make? And it just kind of gave you the highlights of the first game story. You're doing yourself a serious disservice if you do that. Just play the first fucking game. It's so fucking good. Genesis 2, obviously, if you wanted to jump straight into 3, just play the fucking games. Just play them. They're fucking great.
He's gonna have it all there, so.
Yeah, all the weapon and armor packs are there. The promo stuff is there, so you can even get the Blood Dragon armor.
I was thinking about
the Dragon Age.
I still have that code paper at my house because I just never bothered to throw it away.
Yeah,
and I was like, man, it'd be cool if they have that in this next game.
It's in there, bro.
It's in there. It's wear it.
That's something they absolutely did not need to put in.
They didn't need to, but I'm happy they did.
That's great that they did.
So yeah. They did.
But all the multiplayer DLC, obviously not going to be in there if the multiplayer's not there. And the Pinnacle Station DLC is gone. Oh, you never played Bring Down the Sky because you have the least amount of experience with 1.
Yeah,
Bring Down the Sky is solid.
It is?
It's solid.
What's it about?
Batarians are trying to do a terrorist attack, and you stop them.
Okay.
That's about it.
Yeah,
It's not important to the story. It doesn't. Right. It's just a cool mission.
I remember what happened is that I played Mass Effect 1, beat it in 2 days. I love that game.
Great game.
And then I sold it back to Family Video, where I had rented it from.
Don't ever do that.
No, but then
you had rented it.
I rented it, yes. And then I realized, I did some mistakes in the choices that I made. And going into Mass Effect 2, because it was coming out by the time I started playing Mass Effect 1, I was like, I'll just, hop on back there and play that. And I did. So ever since then, which was back whenever Mass Effect 2 was released, that's the last time I played Mass Effect 1. So I'm excited to jump back into that one and see what I've been missing out on.
So it's worth mentioning, they're making a few dramatic changes to the presentation and to the presentation of this game or of these remasters. The first thing fans noticed is the first mission of the first game, which is the inciting incident of the whole story and sets you off. It takes place on the planet Eden Prime, and when you land, Eden Prime is supposed to be this beautiful, gorgeous planet that, everyone takes their vacations on or whatever. But when you land, it's a hellscape. Mm-hmm. The sky is literally red, there's thunder and storming, and people are being turned into husks and stuff, and it's supposed to set the mood for the threat that is coming, and that you will later face in 2 and 3.
Yeah.
However, they've released a few images of Eden Prime, and the sky's not red.
Yes, I saw that.
It's a normal sky. It's just a normal sky. There's still storms and stuff, I assume, but it's just screenshots and I can't tell.
Mm-hmm. So the lens flare there. That's when I first saw that. And it's like,
lens flare there. They've basically, like, this is the planet that they repositioned the sun entirely.
Yeah. Now, it seems like a criticism of not capturing a better moment when compared with the original game.
Sure.
But if memory serves me right, in Mass Effect 2 and 3, it didn't have those red skies or anything
No, it never
like
did
that.
anything like that.
So it kind of makes sense that they would change it to
And to my memory, this is the only moment in the game where something like that happens.
Yeah.
But it is a good mood setter.
It is a very good mood setter.
It is a good mood setter. But it doesn't fit into the lore of what Eden Prime, the planet, is. It's supposed to be this lush wonderland, so we should see it as that. And, no spoilers, you do return to Mass Effect 3. You do return to Eden Prime in Mass Effect 3 because of one of the DLCs.
Yeah.
It's unrecognizable. So I've also heard that they are taking some of those buildings from the Mass Effect 3 version of Eden Prime and sticking them in the Mass Effect 1 version.
Makes sense.
Just swapping buildings out so that there's some, just some unification in the entire series, which is just kind of nice. But moving on, another thing they're changing with the presentation, and we're going to cut back to the Game Informer article here. The latest debate, they say, to camera angle or to not camera angle. The internet is up in arms about changes made to the trilogy regarding certain camera angles that were in no way necessary and in no way change the story, nor does this change impact romance scenes. So what's the big deal? In Mass Effect, Finn Shep is given an N7-inspired little black dress, while male Shep is given a swanky leather jacket. The movement of the characters was not developed with Jane versus John in mind, so Finn Shep would often be seen sitting down in her short little dress, completely without care and knees spread apart. Not a typical pose for that attire. This is one of the changes made with tweaking some of the movements in-game, making interactions seem less stilted and awkward and more into a natural progression. Kevin Meek, character and environment director, told Metro that the team wanted to pay attention to how Finn Shep is in-game, an oversight made in the initial trilogy, which, to cut away real quick as a little diatribe, later with time, I think in the fandom's perspective, female Shepard became the canon Shepard.
Yeah.
It obviously didn't start that way, but when the series ended, they had that little reversible cover for the first time. Mm-hmm. And then now, even with the reveal trailer that they put out this last week, it's very Fem Shep heavy. Like, male Shepard is still there, but it's mostly female Shepard there.
Yeah. Well, when you have Jennifer Hale as the voice, it's kind of like, well, that's why.
Yeah, and no, just to what is his name? Mark Meir, who does an okay job. Jennifer Hale just fucking kills it, like, across the entire trilogy. She just fucking murders it. So yeah, I think female Shepard, and also the best romances are female Shepard romances, specifically like Liara and Garrus and Thane and not Jacob. Caden is great too, but you can experience Caden's relationship in 3 with male Shepard. So the team wanted to pay attention to how Fem Shep is in game, an oversight made in the initial trilogy, quote, specifically around the animations. We couldn't change a lot of those, but there were times where you could change the camera to not focus on one of those animations, Meek explained. So, a male Shepard animation would have him sitting with his legs quite wide open with a low camera, where if you were wearing a skirt, it would be a bit unflattering. So, we can't necessarily change that animation, but you can raise the camera up slightly to reduce the problem. BioWare also added small tweaks to her face and how she catches the light, facial expressions, and more to make her more human. You also may have heard some changes regarding Miranda's butt. The discussion there is simply reducing the amount of camera cuts that focused on her booty. There were so many times when Shepard would speak with Miranda only to cut awkwardly just to focus solely on her backside, which had a tendency to break the immersion when talking about serious topics like, I don't know, the impending damnation of all life in the galaxy.
Immersion?
Who wants that? Give me ass!
Why would I care about that in those scenarios?
So there's a bunch of losers on the internet that are upset about this. And they're like, why would you change it? Artistic expression and all that. Like, guys, fucking relax.
Kevin, you should never forget what they took from you. You should never forget.
And you know what? The internet is there. The internet is there. So, if I want to see some crazy sexualized thing about Miranda, I can probably find it, not a problem. I don't need it when I want to, live in this space adventure. But overall, Connor, how does all this sound to you? As
I mean, it's
as a Mass Effect fan who has just not touched the series in a long time.
It's one of my favorite series getting remastered. I mean, I've yet to hear anybody in any game say, "Oh, my game's getting remastered." Not even remade, just remastered. Oh, I don't really like that all that much. Like, it's just good. And I did mention to you a while back that I was interested in jumping back into it because I'd been away from it for so long. But now I'm not, because I'll just wait until May 14th and play this game.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Now, my big issue, though, is you're probably going to face this as well. If you can't get a PS5 by that time, are you going to wait, or are you going to just buy it on the PS4?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm getting on. I've already bought it.
Oh, you have?
I've done the thing that I tell people not to do, and I pre-ordered it. I'm like, I'm ready. Like, let me just do this.
Well, quality's not a big issue here. And then
I've got a PS4 Pro. It'll probably look just as good, because it's worth noting there is no next gen version of this game right now.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Well, you didn't mention that, but you said that
there's just the difference is just loading times, mostly, and maybe like some more optimization. But like, if you have a PS4 Pro or an Xbox Series or Xbox One X, you're getting pretty much the same version of the game. And to speak on the loading times, specifically in Mass Effect 1, where they quote unquote hid the loading times with you getting in and out of elevators, and then to make that not such a grueling experience, there would be banter in the elevators, which did a lot of great for world building and character relationships and all of that. So obviously in this version, they've said, hey, we're going to cut down on those load times dramatically, because there'd be like a lot of like getting in the elevator, waiting a few seconds. Now the dialogue would start. Then the dialogue would end. And I'm waiting another 10 seconds to get out of this fucking elevator.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember traversing the Citadel was so boring back in the day, because I was like, oh, I went to the wrong level. Back in the elevator.
Yep. And there's a lot of running around that Citadel in that first game. Especially if you're doing, like, one of those majority playthroughs. Uh-huh. Where, like, you would go to the Citadel, and then go out and do a mission, and then come back to the Citadel, and run around the entirety of the Citadel, and then run out and do another mission. And then come back, and, that pattern gets old, and, you start... I think you can even start, like, just repeating dialogue, and it gets very old very fast. So in these versions of the games, it's not 100% skippable. Like, you jump in and you're still getting the loading, but instead of it taking upwards of almost a minute, it takes like 15 seconds. And then so it's enough time for, like, and they've tweaked it to where, like, as soon as you get in the elevator, the dialogue starts, and then as soon as, like, the dialogue is over, you can leave. You can also leave before the dialogue ends if the loading is done, and get on with your day if you want to. But I think you're kind of doing yourself a little bit of a disservice, because there's a lot of great stuff in those elevator scenes. But it's nice that it's not going to take fucking forever. So, to me, it sounds like this is going to be the ultimate way to play this game, the best way to play this game. It sounds like it's going to be the prettiest and the least glitchiest. Which
it's going to be. I mean, let's be honest.
I mean, we'll wait and see. And then especially with Mass Effect 1, I'm hoping all of these tweaks they've made will, not, eliminate, but reduce the gripes and the level of frustration that those gripes cause.
Yeah. So, because there are small bits that make Mass Effect 1 kind of annoying to play sometimes.
Yep, the Mako specifically for some people. I like it, but other people
I never had a problem with it either. To be honest, I just ran people over.
Yeah.
Fixed that problem pretty easily.
Overall, it all sounds good. I'm very, very excited, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. But Connor, you know what else I just can't wait to get my hands on and find out what all this is going to be about?
And what is that?
That is Nintendo. They're doing a little something over there. They're doing a little bit of a restructuring.
Should have done a while
ago. A long time ago. So, this is an article. Nope. Here we go. I probably should have clicked open this link.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Where is this article from?
FinalWeapon.net.
I don't know this website.
Yeah, they do a lot of more Japanese stuff.
Oh, okay. So this is by Sol Kiwami. Nintendo is replacing NEX, their multiplayer server system, after 18 years of use. Introduces new NPLN system, with Monster Hunter Rise being the first game to support it. Nintendo has been using the NEX multiplayer server system, which is over 18 years old. The system dates back to the GameCube era of Nintendo. It is an archaic system by now, as server-side technology has advanced greatly in that time. Thankfully, it seems that Nintendo is finally ditching that system in favor of a new one. The new system is called NPLN, according to ThomasNet_MC, and it's currently in the preview phase. The Monster Hunter Rise demo was the first test for this new multiplayer system. As a result, Monster Hunter Rise should be the first game to natively support it. Oatmeal Dome collaborates this and says Nintendo's goal is to make a smooth transition to the new server system. However, it remains to be seen if it will make an immediate positive effect for online. It might take a while before online functionality on Switch and future Nintendo platform benefits from the NPLN, but it's a good upgrade nonetheless. In the meantime, stay tuned. So this is cool. This is great.
Yeah.
I've got questions. How new is this system that you're introducing?
Well, they've had a lot more multiplayer games come about. You have Splatoon, Smash Brothers, Arms, now Monster Hunter Rise. Which is the big focus of that game so far has been multiplayer. Being able to join with friends.
Yeah, being a co-op experience.
Yeah,
your classic Monster Hunter, but on Switch.
It's been so long. Like they should have done this so long ago. But at least
so long.
At least now they're doing something.
GameCube era. Before multiplayer gaming was even really a thing.
It's a little bit sad because this is the last time you'll ever hear news about the GameCube in the context of modern game news. But I hope, for me personally, I hope this extends to make Smash Bros. Online be better. Because one of the reasons why I don't have online for Nintendo is because I knew that's the only game I have that I'd actually play online with.
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, there'd be no point in me getting it with how their servers are right now.
So I have a bunch of general questions to get started here. Are we going back and reinstating all these old games into this new system, or are they still on their old system? Well, how is that going to work? How far back are you going? Just Switch titles? Wii U titles? Wii titles? How far back are we going here?
I'm assuming they won't really be doing a lot of support for those consoles, seeing as how the Switch is the new big thing. It's selling very well. They're making more games nowadays that have multiplayer than they had in the past. Because even when, back in the Wii days, multiplayer wasn't even a big thing then. So there's no real reason for them to go back
the beginnings
and
and the startings of it, where it actually started to matter. And then that Wii U generation, it definitely mattered, and your hardware just didn't have the juice.
No, did not. No. So, it was saying in the article, it doesn't know when there's going to be an immediate positive effect. Mm-hmm. So, Also, I don't know how long they've been working on this. Is this something they just recently decided, Rise is coming out, maybe we should update things now? Maybe? I don't know. Probably.
Just complete and utter hope for the best on this one. Mm-hmm. And, it's about fucking time, Nintendo.
Yeah. Maybe we can go back to our old days where we can play Smash Bros. Online and then call each other on the phone whenever we had to brag. As a matter of fact, now that they're updating it, would they implement some kind of chat factor into it, if there isn't already?
They have a chat factor in their app on your phone.
Oh, God. Okay. So I think it's safe to say they would do some sort of, voice communication.
Nope. It is not safe to say that.
You don't think it is?
You're dealing with Nintendo here.
But you would think they should. Especially with Monster Hunter Rise. That's the reason they're doing this in the first place.
Connor, the chat aspect for their Nintendo Switch Online takes place in an app on your phone.
Which is why they should probably do something about
They should probably do something about it, but I don't think for half a second that they will. And even if they do, it's not going to come anytime soon. But that's that. More wait and see, as we love to say on this show. But for now, Connor, let's move on to my second penny of the day. Which... a touch sad. Sad.
Sad for the workers. I don't think the property is really all that sad. Well,
maybe we might disagree on that.
We might.
Google Stadia shuts down internal studios, changing business focus. This is an article from Kotaku by Stephen Toledo. Google Stadia, in the late 2019 streaming platform that promised to revolutionize gaming by letting users stream games without needing to own a powerful PC or console, is altering course, getting out of the game-making business, and will now offer its platform directly to game publishers alongside offering Stadia Pro to the public. The company is announcing the news, though Kotaku began to hear rumblings from sources close to Stadia last week that Google's services was heading for a major change. One games industry source told Kotaku that Google was canceling multiple projects, basically any games slated for release beyond a specific 2021 window, though they believed games close to release would still come out. Today brings some clarification. Google will close its 2 game studios located in Montreal and Los Angeles. Neither had released any games yet. That closure will impact around 150 developers. One source familiar with Stadia operations said the company will impact 150 developers. One source familiar with Stadia operations said. The company says it will try to find those developers new roles at Google. Jade Raymond, the veteran producer who helped build Assassin's Creed for Ubisoft and moved on to EA several years ago before leaving to run game creation at Stadia, is exiting the company, according to Google. Google will continue to operate the Stadia gaming service and its $10 monthly Stadia Pro service. It's unclear how many, if any, exclusive games will come to the service, though the company has indicated that it can still sign new games and will bring more third-party releases to the platform. It nevertheless will look to many like a drawdown of the plan to have Stadia run as a bona fide competitor to console platforms. The company plans to begin offering its Stadia tech to publishers, opening up the possibility for Stadia to become the streaming tech for other video game companies. Google's head of Stadia operations, longtime console executive Phil Harrison, will focus on pursuing these new partnerships. Quote, "We see an important opportunity to work with partners seeking a gaming solution all built on Stadia's advanced technical infrastructure and platform tools." Harrison wrote in a blog post today, quote, "We believe this is the best path to building Stadia into a long-term, sustainable business that helps grow the industry."
So Stadia was notorious when it released because they had hyped it up, the future of gaming.
Which it is.
People, but not the future in the sense that it didn't
not the
work.
brand, but the type of gaming, streaming is the future.
Possibly, yes.
No, it is. It's just a matter of time.
Possibly is, but moving on, because I know we've disagreed with that
It's just
before.
a matter of time.
Even so, this failed spectacularly. Games didn't run properly. It had almost no games on launch. A bunch of games that they had.
Well, the games ran, but
some people couldn't
the
get
lag through the internet service was what the issue was.
And people had kind of been calling for this to, not calling for it, but expecting it to die because there wasn't really a community surrounding around it to actually play their games. And this is really just the inevitable path that it ended up on.
Broad strokes and internet conversation confirm all of that. And if you just look at it from top down view, it's sad to me because this, when it was announced, was so exciting to me because it really could have been the first big step pushing towards that all digital future that I so desperately want, but like will just kick down the doors and open just a new wave of not only gaming and how we play video games, but just media in general and how we consume entertainment.
And you would think Google would be understandable that they would be leading the charge in this and they would be doing it successfully. So I had assumed it was going to be no big problem at all launching.
The way in which Stadia failed, I think, is because one, great that they started with building their own game dev studios. Unfortunate that all of those developers are now having to reallocate or find new jobs. Excuse me again.
Which at least Google's finding a place for them, even if it is
ideally.
sucky.
But if I go in to make games, I'm going in to make games, so I'm gonna dip.
And to not deliver on the promises that you did to new workers, it just sucks for them.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But Google Stadia's issue was not having games at launch, not having enough third-party games at launch, not having anything new at launch. Like, they were at launch using old Assassin's Creed, year-old Assassin's Creed games. So, to which you look at and go, okay, why do I want to play this? Mm-hmm. Like, I've got the new right here. Like, they needed more concurrent games in order to draw any business. Yeah. Destiny 2 isn't it.
No. Their goal with this was to say you don't need to have a PC or the upcoming PS5 to do this. You just needed, an internet service and play our games.
Also, their business model was all kinds of wrong with the here, pay for the service, but you still have to buy the games.
Yeah.
Like, it should be a digital streaming Game Pass in how Game Pass works, and it wasn't.
I remember I remember specifically people were like, how does this operate? How are you going to
Exactly.
be, bringing us these games? How is the internet going to work? Is everything going to be fine?
Exactly.
And then just didn't pan out.
Nope, not at all. So, streaming is still the future. I don't think that's even debatable. Eventually everything will be digital and everything will run off, quote unquote, from the cloud or run through the internet. Now, the matter of accessibility to that is probably the biggest issue right now. But I don't really know what I'm talking about. And I'm hoping that, Xbox with their cloud streaming, whatever they're doing over there, and their already set up Game Pass model, are taking lots of notes.
Yeah, even though this failed, the technology is still there. It's still for people to use, and obviously Xbox is jumping on the carcass to try and salvage something from there.
Carcass.
Yeah, and
I don't know about that, but they've been on this grind for a long, long time.
Well, now they have maybe a little bit more advancement in
To
bringing
figure out
streaming
what
games.
they want to do.
Yeah.
So, unfortunate. A step back. But hopefully something to learn from and recover and really, really press on into something awesome.
For mid-pandemic, though, for those workers too,
That blows.
that's almost the worst part.
That blows.
Yeah. Which I do you think that kind of attributed to it, or was it going to go this route?
I think
it sped it
Stadia.
up,
I think
do you
Stadia
think?
was pretty much doomed from the jump.
Yeah.
Google has a history of launching something and then not committing to it. I think this is going to be another example of that. With the things like Google Glass and what was it called, Google Plus, and all that nonsense that nobody wanted. This was something that could have worked, but you came at it from the perspective of a capitalist instead of a someone who understands the culture of games and how it should work and what steps were necessary from the jump in order to get it done right. Your first impression was terrible, basically, and you fucked it up. But hopefully, someone in the future will get it right. Hopefully, one of them Phil Spencer types. But Connor, we've got some more news.
Yep, one more bit
with
of
our
news there.
final topic, kind of leading into sort of a conversation we've been having for the last couple of weeks. And this is going to be your second penny, our final penny of the day. Prince of Persia, honestly, I'm surprised you brought this in.
Yeah.
Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake has been delayed. So, from the Prince of Persia official Twitter, they gave an update, saying, "Hello, Prince of Persia fans. Since announcing Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time remake in September, we saw an outpouring of feedback from you on this beloved franchise. It is your passion and support that is driving our development teams to make the best game possible. With that said, we have made the decision to shift the release of Prince of Persia The Sands of Time remake to a later date. This extra development time will enable our teams to deliver a remake that feels fresh while remaining faithful to the original. We understand the update might come as a surprise, and we will continue to keep you posted on the progress of Prince of Persia The Sands of Time remake. In the meantime, we want to thank you for all your ongoing support." Quote, the dev team.
Was it a surprise?
No, not at all. Connor, remind me, you're not the biggest Prince of Persia fan.
I've not played a Prince of Persia game.
Oh my god!
I watched you play all of them. Not all the way through, but you played an hour or so of each game.
Yeah.
Back way back in the day, because you were a big fan of that time.
Now, I love the Prince of Persia trilogy. Those first three games I fucking love. Well, the first three games from when Prince of Persia became actually relevant again. I adore those three games. I specifically adore The Sands of Time. Combat super clunky, doesn't hold up. I'm sure those parkour controls are real stiff and awkward now. But I loved the puzzles in that game. For at the time what it was, though it was extremely repetitive, I enjoyed the combat for what it was. The story I thought was solid. It was real tongue in cheek and kind of self-aware, and it broke the third wall occasionally. And it's a fun little romp. And I adore those characters so much. And so when they announced this, I was really, 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 really hoping that this would be the return of Prince of Persia, because we haven't seen a proper, Prince game in a long time. And the footage they showed was super disheartening. Only did this not look like a PS5 game, it didn't even look like a PS4 game.
PS3 ran a lot of bells for that.
It looked like an okay PS3 game. So still looked better than the original in terms of presentation, but it's just It was like, oh man, you should not have announced this. This should have spent another year in the cooker.
Yeah. Which they're getting, as far as we know.
They're getting. So this game was initially supposed to come out in January. Got pushed to March. And then now pushed indefinitely. Who knows if we'll even actually see it again, or if they'll just kind of quietly let it, die somewhere. Hopefully they don't. Hopefully we see it come back in a year, with just a gorgeous, look to it. And hopefully, I don't recall seeing any gameplay footage of it.
There was
so so I'm hoping maybe they've done something to the gameplay to make it a little more fun, because what were the other games called? Warrior Within and what's the
Two
third?
Thrones.
Two Thrones. Had some real fun combat. Mm-hmm. Even though their presentation was
lacking compared to the first
not
one?
lacking, different taste.
Okay.
It's a different taste. So yeah, I'm hoping this spawns. I'm hoping they really take their time and they really make it the remake that Prince of Persia fans want. And I hope it spawns maybe a new age of Prince of Persia. Maybe we remake Warrior Within. Maybe we take this and do the Ratchet and Clank thing where we spin off and make a new game, but based off of this remake. Who knows? But for now, okay, yeah. Keep your heads down, keep working, and hopefully we'll get something out of this that fans and newcomers would really, really like.
Yeah, we never. I never. Like we said, we never saw any gameplay, so I was curious whether it's salvageable or not, because the game didn't look that good. Who knows how good the combat was or how good the combat looked? So even given this extra amount of time, however long it is, would they have enough time to actually make it better?
Connor, if in what was it, 6 months they can redo and restructure the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, I fully believe that they can make this game salvageable, at least to fans. Now, if they're going to bring anybody new in, that is entirely dependent on gameplay, and marketing, and word of mouth.
Yeah,
so it's dependent on some things outside of just presentation. Now, the presentation needs to improve. It is dramatically underwhelming and dramatically
kind of bland.
Not bland, but no, it's not bland at all. It looks like a Prince of Persia, but it's just that it just doesn't look. The fidelity just isn't there. The detail isn't there. It looks like a PS3 game, and it shouldn't. Not when the I want to say it was 2016, the Ratchet and Clank game, which still had some stiffness in it because of probably budget reasons, but that game looks like a Pixar movie. So
it did look very good.
How does this game, which has a similar-ish art style, I mean, it's not going to look like it's not as cartoony with it, but it should also look like a Pixar movie, and it doesn't. It looks like a PS3 game. So hopefully, all of that, I keep knocking this around. Hopefully all of that will improve with time, and we'll get to really see something. Now, Connor, that is it for our pennies. That's it for the news. A
lot of Mass Effect talk this time around.
Mass Effect talk. I told you when we started, I was going to nerd out, and we did.
Which, by the way, is why I chose Prince of Persia. Because he did the Stadia one. He's definitely going to talk about Mass Effect, so I'll just do the Prince of Persia.
I didn't think Prince of Persia was that important. Well, also, I assume COVID also had something to do with that delay. But, Connor, it is time to talk about what we've been playing this week.
Yeah. You probably have something more interesting to talk about. So
I do.
You go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I said you.
Oh, me go first.
But
I apologize.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, you
because
go ahead.
I won't talk about it at all.
Yeah, you go ahead.
I played Zombies before I came here. Or Zombies before I came here.
Christ, dude.
It's not. Coincidentally, I saw a lot.
You have a backlog that you have to get to.
I do. I was actually earlier like, I want to go do more of the Hades relationship development.
Sure.
And I sat down. I was like, I'm gonna go play Zombies.
I hate you.
I had no reason for it, and I was like, okay, I'll just go do that. I'll have fun. But coincidentally, I saw some gameplay from the new Call of Duty Zombies.
Okay.
Screenshots.
Okay.
It's too much. I was talking about it with our friend Glenn. It's gotten to the point where it's just they've put so much content in there. It seems
it's like a caricature of itself.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I think to myself, it has content in there, but it just seems like it's packed to have stuff in there. It doesn't have the simplicity and just the pure entertainment of messing around with your friends in a more contained map, doing 1 or 2, 3 different objectives that just make you last longer, rather than have a completion to the Nazi zombies, mission.
Which is why I think it's not even a selling point with Cold War.
It's not at all.
No. It's what is Cold War, but it's a Warzone and multiplayer. But even in that, it's mostly Warzone.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
Which you can get for free as a separate download. So
yeah, but that's I actually didn't play that many games this past week. Beyond
that many games in like the past 3 months, Connor.
Well,
are you a gamer or are you not?
About a month. I mean, I play games a lot, just not new games a lot.
So Connor, as we talked about last week, me and our good friend Phil have started a show on twitch.tv/2pennygames, in which we show each other a game that one of us loves and the other one has never played before. The name of the show is Have You Ever Played? Acronymed to HYPE, HYEP. Last week we did Metal Gear Solid, and then this week, which if you want to find out Phil's impressions of Metal Gear Solid, you can listen to that last episode. Connor, did you listen to that episode? Or at least the last little bit.
I did not. I completely forgot.
Way to support your friends, buddy.
Hey. I will watch it. I just completely forgot that you had tacked on that bit to the end.
Yeah. We talked about Metal Gear for, I want to say, about 40 minutes to an hour, something like that, which was just a great time for me. This week, however, it is my turn to play. And we did some Kingdom Hearts 1. So I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 1 for the first time ever. We did it live on stream. You can catch us every Tuesday at probably about 1 p.m. Central Time. And we're just going to be playing. And, this next Tuesday we'll be probably not finishing it, but, continuing it. And let me tell you, Connor, man, Kingdom Hearts, it's old. And it is not aged well.
Now, you're not playing the original.
No, I'm playing the
1.5.
1.5 final mix, whatever that last thing that they put out with
right before 3.
Yeah, and
it didn't do. I never played the 1.5, but I remember people playing it like it plays a little bit better, not that much. Yeah, I can't tell you for certain. Kingdom Hearts 2 plays a lot better. Like it's a big jump in terms of playability, but.
God, I hope. Because
yes.
Kingdom Hearts 2, like, Phil keeps going, oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts 2 is like my favorite game of all time. And I'm like, God, they better do something because this game sucks. Now, I'm not going to go into a full, review detailed and all that thing, but I'll probably mention a few things. And then, when I do eventually beat it, we'll probably have Phil on and we can have, our full review discussion about it. However, this right here, man, it's old. And the combat does not feel good.
No.
And the platforming is some of the worst I've ever experienced in a game ever.
The level design isn't even all that
level
good.
Design is ugh. And listen, as someone who has never played one or really experienced one or paid any real attention to Kingdom Hearts, people love to talk about how convoluted the story of Kingdom Hearts is. And at least with the first game, I was surprised to see how little story there is at all. There is no story in Kingdom Hearts, at least the first one. It's what the fuck is his name? Sora. We're on an island. We got friends. Okay, now we're leaving. Okay, now we're just visiting the hits.
Okay.
We're just going to Disney hits.
It goes weird. It gets weird. It gets weird.
I'm sure it gets weird, but let me tell you what it is right now, Connor. It's fucking nothing right now.
No.
There's nothing happening. It's planet after planet after planet, and it's just nonsense.
They didn't know what they were doing with that first game. They didn't know how far they were going, I don't feel, because, 2 gets weird in a way that I honestly kind of like, but yeah, 1 is just very basic, very forward.
It reeks to me of, I don't know if this is true, this is just how I feel playing the game. It reeks to me of, we had 11 months to put this game together.
No.
And, the writing, we don't have time for that. Just make a game and have it work.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, granted it works, I assume because this is a remastered whatever version bullshit that they're on. But then, we beat a level and they go, okay, for reason, we have to leave. And then for reason, we're going to new planet. And it's not even dialogue. It's text box pops up and says, okay, now we're here.
Yeah.
And then you're there. And then, but they'll give a weird, jilted animation, cutscene that's obviously an in-engine cutscene because this is the time where pre-rendered cutscenes and in-engine cutscenes look very different, which is fine of the times, whatever. but like there's no cohesion between those two. Mm-hmm. So like the Tarzan level, you shipwreck onto the Tarzan level, but there's no like cohesion between the we fucked up and we're going down, and now I'm Sora landing on the land. Like it's just okay, now I'm here. So it just feels to me it's like, hey, this is held together with duct tape and string is how it feels. I don't know if it's true, but it's how it feels.
In terms of writing, it doesn't seem like they ever put a lot of effort into it in that first game. As far as gameplay goes, I really think it's just a product of its time that never really, even with a remastered, never was able to go anywhere else beyond be there.
It's a lot of like it tries to be tactful, and it's just not. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, there was the mini game to get from planet to planet.
Oh,
holy fuck!
And guess what? It's in 2 and it's in 3.
See, Phil was telling me it changes. It's a different type of mini game.
But to be quite honest,
it just shouldn't be there.
It just shouldn't be there at all. Like it's kind of just like it's padding is what it is. It doesn't add anything to story. It doesn't have any interesting gameplay mechanics. Really, whenever it happens, I'm like...
You can literally let your finger off the stick and just mash the shoot button.
No, you can't do that.
No, you can't.
In later ones.
Oh.
In later ones.
Oh, well, in this one you can.
Yeah. It's still...
And as long as you don't, like, drive straight into a wall, like, you don't have to move. Like...
Yeah, it's a bad thing overall that for
terrible.
some reason never got rid of, ever.
It would be cool if it was like, okay, you'll do this once, and then you can come back and do it as many times as you want, but like you never will. Yeah. The fact that it's mandatory and it happens every time you want to go to a new location, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, I know.
Ugh. So overall, I'm personally not having a great time. And there was
sorry, Phil.
More or less the boss fights I am enjoying. There was one.
2?
Huh?
2, I thought.
Maybe there was 2, I don't remember. There was one that I was just like, I was banging my head against the wall and I wanted to kill myself. Like, I hated playing it. I was mad. I wanted to be done. That was near the end of our stream. And, fuck, dude. Like, fuck.
Like, man, I just don't want to do that anymore.
I'm not gonna go so far as to call it bad, but it's, ugh.
Yeah. Boss fights in 2 are actually pretty fun.
There were a few boss fights that I had fun with.
Boss fights overall have actually been pretty well done in the Kingdom Hearts series. You know, I mean, one obviously with the gameplay is the worst. You can't really ever get over that.
Nope.
But it'll get better. There's never really.
I hope it does.
I can never really remember any like ridiculously headbanging ones in 2 or 3. Even though there are some very difficult ones, but purposeful.
Well, difficult is fine, but what I was dealing with was some bullshit. Mm-hmm. And then Phil just kept making fun of me, and I go, dude. Fuck this. Fuck you. Fuck this game. I don't want to play anymore. And I'm going to have to go back and play another 10 hours, this Tuesday, 1 p.m. Twitch.tv/2PittyGames. So,
watch me.
Come, watch it. Come, check it out.
You take a dinner break during those streams, don't you?
No, we eat on stream.
Jesus Christ. Who wants to see that? Don't do a mukbang video. Get off that.
We do our best to, like, get away from the mic and,
do we're going to leave. And then,
well, it was easier with Metal Gear because, you fight a boss and then they talk for 30 minutes. So Phil just leans back and just starts eating as he's, like, taking in the story.
That's good. Oh,
yeah.
Ooh, lolly lo lay lo?
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Oh, okay.
We're not there yet.
Not there yet. Oh, that's a 3.
That's 2.
Is it? Oh.
Yes. First 20 minutes.
Oh. When I played 3, it was like, it didn't mean
it's a joke in 3. In 3, it's a joke.
Is it a joke?
Yes.
But it all kind of works together because it's important at the end of the day.
It's a joke that, works. It's like a wink and a nod joke to the audience, but,
before it becomes a thing.
Its purpose in the world makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 2 goes off the rails, and I cannot wait to see Phil's reaction to 2. Mm-hmm. He is, oof, it's gonna be great.
Especially that final boss fight.
Oh no, that final fight's fine.
But it's funny. It's funny though. You just,
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna pick up. Yeah.
Those spoilers.
No.
But, it'll be great. So, yeah. Come catch us. Come watch us finish Kingdom Hearts. I'm hoping we can finish it this week. God, I hope I don't have to, it doesn't bleed into next week.
Oh, it may not. It may not.
Phil was telling me if we continue at this rate, we are not going to finish it in time. And we might have to do a third session.
Sorry.
God, I hope not. But and it's not. I'm at this point. I'm just looking for the door. I'm gonna be rushing for those in credit. No side missions. Fuck that. I'm getting out of here. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this week's episode of the Two Penny Games Cast, episode 29. Connor, we're almost to that dirty 30. 3-0. Very exciting. Very exciting. We've been doing this for over half a year now, you realize.
Too long.
Over 6 months. Too long! And I'm done!
Every day, I was like, Sunday.
Anyways, once again, you can catch us Monday, 8 a.m. every, like I said that at Monday, every Monday at 8 a.m. SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, coming to Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts here soon, as soon as they let me in. Let me in, Google. Don't do me like you've done to your own systems. Anyways.
I was like, what do you mean?
Until then. It was a Stadia reference.
Okay.
Until then. Connor, say bye to the people.
See you guys.